What's going on YouTube? This is 3zinferno. Haven't made a video in a while, but here it is. Apologize for the wait. So there's a few milestones that I actually have to talk about since I've last made a video. I've hit 3,000 subs, which is pretty sick. Thanks guys for that. Another milestone. This is my 200th video, so that's another milestone for me. Thanks for everyone for supporting me and helping me get to this level. Now, onto the content. Today's content is actually something that a lot of people have been asking me about. I did promise I was going to make a trade binder video about how to build a proper trade binder. I'm going to do that later. It's going to have to do with how to build a trade binder and trade etiquette. But today's content is definitely focused on YCS. How to top a YCS. I think that's a really important thing to talk about because a lot of people, you know, they always tell me like, dude, I really do well at locals. I even do well at regionals. Like they get top 32 at regionals, but they can never break the bubble and pop the bubble and top 32 at a YCS. So they always ask me, you know, dude, like you've topped 4 YCS. Can you tell me like what do you think is what's the most important thing to top a YCS? So for me, there's a few things that's really important to top a YCS. First is obviously, but I have to say it anyway, practice. You have to practice with your deck. You make sure that you know the ins and outs of your deck, what to do in every situation. Like I play windups, and I know in every situation what the best thing I want to do is. Like against the water deck, if I have Tour Guide Shark, I'm gonna make the Mighty Abyss Dweller Tyrus. Against this deck, I'm gonna make this and this. Against heroes, I know that if I can't. They have so many back row, I just stall them out with Zen Mains and My Stroke until I can do other things. You just have to know your game plan for every deck. So practice, practice, practice. Practice against everything that you think you'll see. Not just the tier 1 decks. Like when I went to Seattle, I didn't just practice against water and other windups. I played against rabbits, agents, even Dark Worlds. Okay, I played against everything, and dragons. I played against stuff that I think I'd see at least once, and I'd be prepared for it. Secondly, building your side deck. You always have to build your side deck in anticipation for your weakest matchup. Not just what you're gonna see. That's granted, you're gonna see a lot of water decks. You should side for that, but you should also your side deck is mostly for your weakest matchup. That's mainly what a side deck is for. It's also there to put more cards against certain decks, but it's also there for your weakest matchup. So always be prepared. Always know if you're playing Rescue Rabbit, what's your weakest matchup? Something that drops big monsters like Chaos Dragons or Agents. You know, that probably is your weakest matchup. Even if you're running macro. Okay, or you anticipate what they're going to side. So if you're maining Macro Rabbit and they're playing Chaos Dragons, what would they side in? Royal Decree. So you have to side in your Space Typhoons or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, anticipatory siding is also really important. You have to anticipate what other people will side for your deck. I know people will side Gozen Match against me. They'll side Veilers and Max C's. So I have to anticipate and play around that. Alright. But specifically how to top a YCS. So what my game plan is at YCS wise, I practice a lot before the event. I don't like practicing at the event for a few reasons, unless it's with my roommates who I'm rooming with. Firstly, because I don't want to show everyone what I'm running. I mean, granted, most people know. I mean, they think I run windups, but also I don't want to show them my tech cards, like, am I running a Trapstun? Am I running Forbidden Lance? Am I running etc., etc.? I don't want them to see. Am I running a Magic Cylinder or a Silver Sentinel or something? I don't want people to see that, really. Okay? So, that's first off. I really don't want to play against people just to play test, like, oh, you want to play? I need to practice. You want to play with your roommates and make sure they're good, too. Secondly, do what you're best at. What I mean by that is, don't get swayed by your roommates. I mean, sometimes it's a good idea to listen to their ideas. Like at Seattle, I was basically set for my deck, except for my side deck. I had a few choices I could make, and then, you know, they convinced me to run Mind Crush. and I was like, you know, that it is a really good choice, especially because like Megalo, the new deck was out in Seattle. Megalo has a reveal, so that was a good choice. So main sided 2 Mind Crushes, and they worked really well. But things like, especially in your main deck, if you like it that way and you've been playing like that, I think it's usually best to stick with your instincts and play what you've been playing the whole time. And if it's been working, it hasn't been working. Of course, you take other people's advice and try to fix it. But if it's been working well, and then people are like, oh, you should be running 2 Compulse and no Fiendish Chain. I don't like Fiendish Chain, but then I love Fiendish Chain. So I'm like, well, it's been working for me. It's been saving me in situations. I love Fiendish Chain. I'm going to keep it. So sometimes you just have to stick with your own instincts. All right, like, and stick with the deck that you've been playing the most, that you know better. Because I had a choice between running windups and the water deck, and when it came down to it, I was talking to Matthew Bishop, and we were talking about it before round 1, and we said, when it came down to it, why did we? I picked windups, and he did too, because we both believed that neither of us would leave anything on the table. Like, we would give it our all if we ran if we ran windups. But if we ran the water deck, we might mess up, and then we'd regret it. But windups, we wouldn't regret it, because we knew, like, if we lost, they just beat us, or even if they Lux Act us, we tried our hardest. We did everything we could to win. But with the water deck, I don't know it as well. So honestly, even if you think the deck is more powerful, which I didn't really think the water deck was, but I thought it was really fun, windups I felt more comfortable with. I knew the plays, and so you stick with it. Now, my game plan for YCSs is sleep. Please get enough sleep. Everyone always fails to do this. In Seattle, we had 2 rooms. One room, we had 2 connecting rooms, and I said, okay, one room's gonna be for playtesting, one room's gonna be for sleeping. So the people who want to sleep early, get in this side. Other people, get on that side. And I was on the side that slept early, because I was like, I did enough playtesting. I playtested like once, a little bit, that night, on Friday night before the YCS, and I slept 7.5 hours, plenty of sleep, because a YCS is minimum going to be 9 rounds, 10 rounds, and if you're not from California, your regionals aren't even close to that. Alright, our regionals are close to that, so granted, you might be okay if you're from California and you don't get enough sleep, but a lot of people don't function well with no sleep, and when you're looking at things like playing on the bubble with no sleep, that's not good. Alright, and you're trying to go X1 or at most X2 at the end of day 1, and by the end of it you're like tired, you can't think straight, you misplay because you didn't get enough sleep. You only got 2 hours because you were busy playtesting. I prefer sleep. You should have playtested. You should playtest enough already the day before, and if you really need that much playtesting, spend all of Friday playtesting before the event, not at nighttime, not through Saturday morning until you go to sleep at 4 and wake up at 7. Like, that's not really, I think sleep is way more important. You need that energy, keep your mind fresh. I always carry a bottle of water, or a few bottles of water on me, get thirsty, bring some snacks, because you're going to get hungry. And I've seen people on the bubble they get a game loss because they were eating, because they had to run over, get something to eat because they were starving and they couldn't wait and whatever. Alright, always have something on you just in case, because if your matches last a long time, you can't have anything to eat, so just have a snack on you. And when you let's say you finally get past day 1, you're going to day 2, there's 2 rounds in day 2. I can't believe some of the people who don't wake up for day 2. And that's also carried over from day 1. If you didn't get enough sleep day 1, you might sleep through your alarms day 2. Don't do it. Alright? Make sure you call your hotel has a phone. Tell them to call you. Set your own alarms. Have your own friends set your alarms. More alarms, etc. Okay? You gotta wake up. And day 2, what the most important thing is to stay consistent. Don't do plays that you normally wouldn't do because you're like, oh, it's so close, and you just go aggressive and just do something that you normally wouldn't do. Make the same plays you would make day one, okay? You can't say like, oh my gosh, like if I overextend, I can attack for game, but he has like 3 back row. Okay, don't do it. It's the same thing. You gotta play exactly how you were playing, how you got there. You do the same thing, and that's what I feel like is most important. So those are mostly what my tips are for top 32ing. You know, stick with your instincts. If you know what you're doing and you think you're doing it right, I probably would do what I think got me there. All right. Get enough sleep. Always have some kind of drinks or snacks, because you know that it's a grueling day. When I tell people I play Yu-Gi-Oh and they ask me what it's like, I sort of say it's like playing chess, except you get to build your own deck. So I really think that's a really cool aspect of it. But it's really mentally draining, and so you have to prepare your body. So you should get enough sleep, get enough water, food, etc. So you just have to prepare yourself, and I think that's one of the most important things that people don't do, is to prepare their body for what it doesn't seem like it'd be a grueling day, like, oh, you're just sitting there playing a card game, but honestly you use a lot of mental power, you use a lot of just, and be prepared. Oh, and one more thing, always wear something that you can take off, meaning don't just wear a t-shirt and shorts. I've made a mistake of doing that once, and I was freezing my butt off. Granted, it didn't cost me any games, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes that can mess you up, just being uncomfortable in the situation because you're freezing, or it's too hot because you only wore a sweatshirt or something, you know? Just make sure you have some kind of layers of clothing you can take off. That's just my aspect on that. Alright, so if you have any questions, any comments, let me know below. And thanks again, guys. 3,000 subs and 200 videos. And I'll try to keep them coming as quickly as I can. Alright, thanks, guys. 3zinferno, signing out.